What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Covers Live. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again, relatively speaking, with another live stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever topic I've come up with for the week, and this week is no exception. Let's see. I hope that the quality of the stream is okay at the moment. I don't know if it's lagging a little bit or if my mouth is not lining up to the audio. Let me know in the chat. But while I figure all that out, let me say hello to the folks who are here so far. Hello to Technomog and Taper over on the YouTube and Twitch side. Hello to Dave, Benoit, Gun, Redacted, Glenn, Arnaud, let's see, Alejandro, Michael, John, Chris. I don't know who guest 3753 is, but hello to you too. Oh, that looks like Glenn. Glenn renamed himself. Okay, there's another guest 178. I have no idea who you are, but hello anyway. And probably some other folks who will roll in soon. Hello to Menacing Mecha as well. Good, thanks Alejandro for letting me know. You can hear me loud and clearly. Yes, I also actually dialed the volume of the microphone up a little bit because I realized that for some reason on this machine, the mic volume was too low. So I tried to adjust that a bit. Hopefully it's not booming. Hello to Leonix. So yeah, it's been kind of a crazy week. Last week, I was working on a new video, and around the time that the Friday stream showed up, I didn't feel so well, and took the kid to the hospital on Friday, and then Saturday, and turns out that the 1-year-old had strep, and I also had strep. I didn't realize that until I was also asked to get tested. So that began the journey of being in the hospital, not me, the baby, being in the hospital for, I guess, all the way up until Tuesday. Like, second half of the day on Tuesday, we were in the hospital. So, you know, this is what you should learn. Those of you who are interested in one day, you know, doing public things on the internet, if you ever make a promise that you'll get something done by a certain date and you're the only one who's doing the work on it, then something is going to happen to prevent you from hitting that date. So that's what happened. So yes, the video that I promised on Wednesday did not come out because I didn't have any time to make it due to all that. But the good news is that everybody is healthy now. The baby's healthy now. I'm doing pretty good too. So everything's good from that perspective. Man, I can see a little bit of choppiness on the other machine here, which it shouldn't be because this machine is pretty beefy, but. So I'm happy to be back here today with you all to talk about something of interest, at least to me, because I had to rack my brain to come up with a stream topic today. But actually it turned out that something I was working on before the outage of my time kind of bubbled back up to the surface. And I actually am interested to talk to you all about it today. So we will get into that in a moment. Let's see. Let me check the YouTube chat here. Hello to Mark in the YouTube side as well. Redacta says, commit to doing something you don't actually want to happen. Yeah, it'd be nice if it worked that way. Benoit says Murphy's Law, something like that. That's for sure. Okay, so let's get into the updates for today. And I realized that I forgot one here, but a couple new Emacs updates. There's been a sort of an emergency Emacs release. I think it was over the weekend, maybe on Saturday, where both Emacs 29 and Org Mode had to be updated because there was a critical security vulnerability in Org Mode. I believe it was Org Mode that this was in, that apparently allows arbitrary code execution whenever you open up an org mode file as an email attachment. So if anybody's sending you any weird looking org mode files and they know you're an Emacs user and you're using Emacs 29.3 or below, then beware, because maybe they will try to execute code in your system. I think the reason why that Emacs had to ship an update is because org mode is built in. So they had to update org in the box in Emacs, as well as the public org release. So it's probably a good idea to update org mode. That's the moral of the story here. I've got links to the mailing list threads on those in the show notes if you want to take a look at those. Also, in other exciting news, Emacs 30 release is underway. I believe it was Eli who sent this out, or was it Stefan who sent this out? Let's see here. But anyway, the development of Emacs 30, oh, it was Eli, has now reached the point where they have cut the release branch, as they say. It's not really a good way to name it, I guess, because it makes it sound like it was broken. But the idea is that now that there's an Emacs 30 release branch, the things that are going into this branch are only things that are intended to be fixes or improvements to the upcoming Emacs 30 release. And it sounds like that the first pretest of Emacs 30.1 will be in about a month from now, which is very cool, because it means that Emacs 30 might be publicly available in the next couple months. So if you're interested in helping test out the Emacs 30 release, definitely clone the source from the repository and build it, which is actually not as hard as it may seem. And also, if you're using Geeks, you can pretty easily install the relatively recent Emacs 30 builds using the Emacs-Next or Emacs-Next-PGTK packages if you are using PGTK in Wayland. So that's pretty cool to have that coming up. I've been using Emacs Next for a while now, so I use Emacs 30 and I just forget that I use it. So Emacs version, yeah, Emacs 30. There's one thing that is kind of a seemingly benign or uninteresting feature that I actually quite like, which is this new mode line functionality where you can have you can fully right align the right half side of your mode line, which is what I'm doing here. I've got a custom mode line definition. In fact, if we were to go look at my mode line, .files, DW core, I think, mode line. Yeah, I started using my own mode line format now. I don't use a package anymore. So right here, mode line format, right align. This is new in Emacs 30. If you put this into your mode line format, it will generate a string of spaces wide enough to cause the right side of text of your mode line to be right aligned, making it look a bit more aesthetic. So I tend to like that. It's quite nice. So if you're interested in that kind of thing as well, then you might want to check that out. But that's in Emacs 30. Also, a pretty interesting thing that they're going to introduce in Emacs 30 is which key, which I advocated for using in the original Emacs from Scratch series. I don't really use it myself anymore. I use Embark mainly for that, but also I just use like Control H in any key map to get a listing of all the key maps. So you don't really need which key, but it's kind of a nice looking thing if you are new to Emacs and you're trying to get used to the key bindings. It could be a nice experience. So there's a thread on that as well if you're interested in the inclusion of which key, but otherwise, I mean, it's just good to know that Emacs 30 is on the way. So one thing that I sorely missed here, which I will correct right now, is that Guile Scheme 3.0.10 was released. Let's look that up. Alejandro asked me in the chat, am I using Chromium now? I'm only using Chromium because I'm using a different laptop or a different machine for the stream today, and in Firefox I have like a million tabs open and it would just kill the stream, so I'm not using Firefox right now. I'm just gonna use Chromium instead. Guile Scheme 3.0.10. This is gonna work. This is ungoogled Chromium. Gotta slow myself down so I can say that word. It's like a tongue twister, like yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather. You ever tried that one before? Fun stuff. DuckDuckGo.com. All right. No, I want the release. There we go. There's the news page, you could say. This is a long time coming. I think people have been waiting on this release for a while. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there that might be of interest to you if you are using Guile pretty frequently. Let's see. I wish I could look at this. Oh, I guess I can look at this in a way that's not going to make us all blind. Let's see. News.txt. I don't really care. I'm just going to drop it in there. And then text scale increase. There we go. Org mode. There we go. That's nice. That's much nicer. Support for alternate backends is something that is for Hoot. We're not going to run through this too much. Define all bodies. We had a discussion about that related to the Scheme course, which is kind of cool. Let's see. The soft port interface sounds pretty cool. I think that's kind of like a virtual port of some sort. Might be useful to some people. Custom ports. Wisp, which is the white space, kind of like a Python-ish scheme syntax that you should take a look at if you're interested in alternative scheme syntaxes that don't use parentheses. That's built in now as Surfy 119. There's a lot of stuff here I think that actually was fixed or introduced to help with Andrew Troprin's work on the RS in-REPL implementation, which is pretty nice because it means that soon we're going to have a much better development experience for Guile inside of Emacs. Let's see, a lot of stuff in here. Pretty useful things. I think it's worth looking at if you're interested in the development details of Guile. I didn't really expect I didn't expect there to be so many improvements in this release, so I'm very happy to see all the stuff that went into it. I actually read through it, but I just can't remember what the most salient points were. Let me pull that in here. We definitely want to see that. This Chromium is super slow. Like I click on it and it doesn't do anything, which is real fun. Any other news that I'm forgetting? Let me check the chat. Gunn says, I'm eagerly awaiting Emacs 42. Yeah, we'll see how long that takes. Alejandro says, I've got some issues with Emacs with PGTK over Wayland. Wayland issues with GTK. Really? I haven't seen anything, but I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Hey, Judy. Judy says, MetaXU. Yeah, probably I do need to use that instead of Chromium for some of these things. Excuse me. Dave says, you can now use Guile 3.0.10 to compile Hoot less than or equal to 0.4.1. Interesting. Instead of having to build from Git main, that's good. Yeah, I think that this is also, you know, this Guile release is something that will enable Hoot development and usage to go along more smoothly. So that's another really nice thing. I am excited about Hoot. I need to get back into some Hoot hacking soon. I feel like there's a Ludum Dare coming up soon. Maybe I missed it already. Too many things going on. Ludum Dare. Yeah, this is not fast enough. April. Yeah, I missed that. And October's the next one. All right, we'll have to think of a different game jam maybe. Chris says, ooh, it's so good with consult line. Yeah, I bet it would be pretty nice with that. Okay, so today, I want to talk about something that's pretty interesting. It is a step forward on a long-held goal of mine, which is to produce a tool for creating videos using Scheme. So before this week got completely lost to the events of life, I was actively working on a new video for the channel, which I was talking about in a video last week. That short little video that I put out, I actually edited that with a program called Shotcut, which is based on the MLT framework. So I was kind of doing a little bit of work there to test it out. But I didn't really want to settle with the typical old format of me just talking over a screencast in real time, sort of like I'm doing now, but it makes sense for a live stream format. For a recorded video, I would like to actually increase the quality of the videos and make them more impactful through good editing. Now, by that I mean still have like the floating head type thing, but not just be the overall screen behind me. It might be better if I actually am able to show different things behind me. And it doesn't have to be sort of real time with what I'm doing on the computer. I can be explaining things to you, but showing, you know, images of things or, you know, pop-up text or various things like that. Just a way to kind of keep the pace moving in a video where I'm talking about something and maybe showing you things at the same time without me having to like actively do it on the computer and sort of have my awareness be constantly divided between talking and explaining and also like trying to make things happen on the computer at the same time. So because I wanted to try to improve the quality of the editing and not just do like a straight recording out of OBS, it led me on a bit of an odyssey through both the current set of Linux video editors, mainly because Blender had some unexpected limitations around the use of green screens, leading me to once again try to write my own editor or video creation toolkit using Scheme. As Alejandro remembers, inside of the Flux Harmonic streams, I was working on a project called Flux Compose, which was being basically built from scratch. I was trying to do everything on my own. Well, not everything, but I was trying to make my own C library plus a wrapper, initially using Guile, but then I started making my own Scheme implementation called Mesh. And the ultimate goal was to be able to create videos, audio, and images with Scheme in a declarative way, but also procedural and programmatic, so that I could streamline the process of content creation for myself and make this whole thing easier, so I don't have to go clicking around inside of an editor for a lot of the stuff that I would do pretty regularly. So the two options for doing this in a programmatic way are libav, which powers FFmpeg, or a library that I've been looking at for a while but never really tried, called the MLT Framework. This is a pretty cool project, if Chromium will wake up, mltframework.org. So this is a pretty sophisticated and mature library that could do multi-track audio video compositions. So it's basically the guts of a modern video editor software that is exposed through C APIs. It also has its own kind of XML-based format that you can use with the command line tool. It actually has quite a lot of useful functionality if you kind of dig into the documentation. The docs don't really give you a good overview of what all it can do or how to use it effectively. I kind of had to piece it together myself through various different things, which is usually the way it goes. But it's super powerful, and I'm quite optimistic about what I can get out of it in the future. So, like I mentioned before, there's the video editor called Shotcut, which is the kind of premier editor built off of MLT. It is built by the person who wrote MLT also writes Shotcut. So this is kind of a primitive looking video editor. If you've ever tried to use Shotcut before, you're probably scratching your head a little bit because some of the things about it are different than other video editors. But after I understood the model of MLT, understanding Shotcut was much easier. So I kind of went the backwards route where I look at the data model and the APIs, and then I started using the graphical editor for it, and it made way more sense. I think it's quite good, actually, and I'll probably be using it to some degree here and there, especially to figure out how to do things programmatically, which we'll take a look at in a little while, which now that I think about it, I forgot to copy that file over. No, it's this machine, thank God. All right. MLT is also the engine for Kdenlive. So if you've ever used Kdenlive before, which I think most people have heard of if you've done any video editing on Linux, Kdenlive is a KDE or Qt based or Qt based video editor, and it's been around for a while, but it uses MLT, the same engine under everything. It just has a different UI for all of it. I've used Kdenlive in the past. For some reason, I don't like using Qt apps. Don't ask me why. I have very weird preferences. But Kdenlive, like Alejandro says, Kdenlive is good, but for some reason I found myself not wanting to use it so much. I did use it for a while, but I switched to Blender at some point. So anyway, MLT is used in other editors, but it's pretty good as a core library. So we're going to try to hack on that a bit more today. What I've already done, let me actually see what else I wanted to say first. So the MLT Framework library is really interesting because it has a simple C interface and internal data representation. The internal data representation also being pretty simple, which we should cover soon. Making it easy to write my own Guile library on top of it using the dynamic FFI feature of Guile, meaning that I do not have to write any C code to interface with this library. It's literally all Guile code, which is awesome. Ultimately, I ended up making a short video using the Shotcut editor, which I talked about. But now that I've learned the capabilities of MLT better through Shotcut, I think it's time to try and replicate some of that video with the library that I've been working on. So let's see what we can do. The code for what we'll work on today is already on Codeberg. You can check that out at my Codeberg site. It's called Melted Scheme. This is not a permanent name. It's just sort of like a prototype name. I do have a library here that I'll show you in a second, which is the actual Guile bindings for MLT, which I'll probably split out into a second project at some point so that it can be used separately. But this is sort of my starting point for it right now. Let's see. I saw Menacing Mecha say, I also get the ick from Qt. Yeah, it's something about it. I don't know what it is. It just feels heavy. Alejandro says, why are you not using Qt browser? I don't know. It's also kind of heavy. I started using VimB again a little bit, but it hangs at weird times. And also it's using WebKit GTK, so not the best rendering of some sites. Judy says, the only issue I have with Kdenlive is the stability, as well as some performance issues I have with it, but maybe they fixed it. Haven't used it in a few years. Yeah, they had performance issues on and off, that's for sure. Alejandro says, I would need a tutorial to use Blender for video editing. Well, there are a bunch of videos for that, but it's still weird. Using Blender for video editing is definitely possible, and I've used it for many System Crafters videos, but it is annoying. It has such potential. But the biggest problem with Blender as a video editor is that you can't easily do compositing with a video timeline. And by that, I mean, if you want to do any sort of advanced compositing on a video clip, like color correction or overlays, or even like eliminating a green screen, you have to separately composite the video clip and then either import it into the timeline or render it out as a video and import it in the timeline, which is totally a headache. There's no way I would ever do that as a workflow. So that's why I started looking for other editors again, and was just kind of disappointed because, for one, I couldn't figure out how to get green screen working in Kdenlive correctly either. Now I know why, but at the time I didn't know why. And I don't know. I think in the end, it was the right thing to do to kind of go look around, because I learned a lot, and now I have some leads for cool stuff. Okay, so the code. So first of all, this is just like hacky prototype code. You really shouldn't pay too much attention to this. The idea is that I have a series of modules that are the wrappers for MLT. So I'm going to go to the core module first. This is the place where I set up the FFI bindings to start with. I define a symbol for the name of the library, which is libmlt7. Then I have my own kind of wrapper function for make MLT function. This wraps the foreign library function, which comes with Guile. This is one of the entry points for defining a procedure in Guile that wraps a C procedure. I'm telling it I want to get the C procedure out of libmlt. Then I take a name for the C API function I'm wrapping, the return type of the C API function, and the argument types for the C API function. There is a section of the Guile manual which talks about Guile dynamic foreign function. Where is it? So it's not foreign functions. It is, maybe it is foreign functions. Yeah, was it foreign library function that I'm using? Foreign library function. Come on. Come on. There we go. Anyway, if you check out the section in the manual, it does describe to you the way to bind to functions. The important thing to know, though, if you are dealing with C APIs, is how to map types between C and scheme. And these scheme variables kind of have the definitions for those types. So if you need to have like an int32, there's a variable called int32, and then you would use it as a return type or as an argument type. Now, to look at one of these things concretely, let's go to the factory module where a lot of functions are defined. Now, I'll explain this weird approach that I'm using in a second. It's probably something that a syntax would be good for, but the idea is that for any procedure that you want to wrap, you're going to call this make MLT function that I'm defining here myself, which ultimately wraps foreign library function. And I'm defining basically a local binding inside of the module to store that. So this is binding the procedure of MLT factory init. The return type is a pointer. So this is just quote star, which indicates a pointer. And this is a list here of just a single star, which is for the arguments of the C procedure. So the C procedure MLT factory init returns a pointer and accepts a single pointer as an argument for the procedure, for the C function. Now, MLT factory producer seems to return a pointer, and it also takes 3 pointers as arguments. Let's take a look at some other ones that might have other properties. I think properties has some different ones. Here we've got one that takes an integer, returns an integer, also takes an integer as a parameter. This one takes a double as a parameter. So basically what I'm trying to show you here is that it's pretty straightforward to bind to a C library function from Scheme, but you just have to know how to map the types correctly whenever you are setting up the binding. So I've set up quite a few bindings already because I've been experimenting with the library, so we don't have to go through all that work. But today we're going to try to continue some of the things I was doing in the main file, because I'm kind of trying to write my own higher level set of procedures on top that call into the MLT library, so that you don't want to be calling MLT procedures all day as the person trying to create a video. What you want is a higher level set of procedures that let you describe a video to be created. Now this is not a good first pass. This is just draft code. I'm just kind of sketching out some ideas here. If you were to look at what I have right here, this is I'll tell you what preview means in a second, but this is a timeline, like an entire timeline for a video. Here's one track of the video, and the track has a series of, let's say, clips or something else. This first clip is an MP4 video, which has a green screen on it. It also, I'm wrapping it in a filter, which is a horizontal flip filter, and it has some parameters to the filter as well. I'm also kind of experimenting with some other stuff. Then the second clip in the track is another video, which is another video on my machine. And then I'm wrapping all that in a call to preview. And what this preview does is actually shows a preview window for the video that I'm working on, so that you can kind of watch what you've made without having to render it to a file. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. I wrote all this before I actually understood more about how to edit videos with Shotcut. Now that I understand Shotcut a bit better, there's some interesting implications of that. For example, here is the Shotcut data file for the video that I created. In fact, maybe I can actually show you that in the editor. Let me remember how I need to do that. So Qt QPA platform is XCB, I think, and then Geek Shell Shotcut. Let's see if this works. Now, the Qt QPA platform thing is just a Wayland issue. For some reason, actually, maybe this will work. I haven't tried it again. Okay, let me back this up for a second. If I add Qt Wayland and take this off, does it work? Okay. So that didn't work the last time I tried it, but that's probably because I didn't try hard enough. Let me see if the video actually opens in this, because it might not. I edited it with a newer version of Shotcut. We'll see if it works. Interesting. Haha. I can hear the audio playing. I don't know if you can even see this. Give me a second. It's kind of strange. It's not showing anything. All right, let me exit out of this. I'm going to go into, let's see, that's Qt QPA platform equals XCB. flatpak run org.shotcut.shotcut. There we go. Okay, let's try opening this one. So I actually have a newer version inside of... There we go. I think that one works. Okay, I think you can see that now. So this is how it looks in Shotcut, and maybe you could see it. I wonder if OBS is playing that well enough. Kind of watching for the playback. Okay, cool. So in Shotcut, you can see that there are a number of tracks here inside of this timeline. So I'm trying to map the concepts of a video editor back into Scheme code. In this case, there's an audio track, and then there's 3 video tracks. There's one that just has the logo as a background that stays there the whole time. There's also the individual like text pop-ups that show up, and then at the end, there's a System Crafter's logo that shows and kind of zooms in a little. And then the very topmost track, I'm doing something a little bit cheesy. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I couldn't find another way to do a full video fade in and fade out inside of Shotcut. But I just have another track that fades in and out like a black color at the start and end of the video. That's probably idiomatic, but it feels a little bit weird. However, that is sort of how I made that video in Shotcut. Now, if you go look at the XML that it saves, the interesting thing about the XML is that this is effectively the same stuff that you would put into the MLT framework. Now, some of these things are coming from Shotcut. There's extensions to MLT that are in this file, but for the most part, this is describing to you the same model as what MLT has in it. So this is like the MLT format. You can kind of tell what the version of MLT was that it used. There's the concepts of producers and playlists, which are stuff that's actually in the MLT APIs. There's also filters, which is something that's in the APIs. There is consumers, which I don't think is represented in this file, and also properties. Properties are pretty common. So usually what happens is for a video clip, you're creating something called a producer for that. And a producer has, it has a source of some kind that can either be generated dynamically, like a test screen or a video file or some other project or something. And then it has properties that you can read and set on that producer. There's also filters you can apply to a producer to change the output somehow, either audio or video. And then there's a consumer, which is what takes the output of a series of producers, or maybe even a single producer, because you can kind of nest them, and then converts it to some source, either to the screen directly, to a file, to an XML output, to something else. And the MLT command line tool, which is kind of like a multi-purpose tool for MLT Framework, can actually read this file in and do stuff with it, but it can't actually replicate the same video with it. So the reason why I'm telling you all this is because being able to look at this file, or at least create new simple videos using Shotcut, is kind of the key to telling us how to use the APIs correctly to replicate the same results. So if I haven't talked too long, then we will have time to experiment with some of that, I think. Alejandro also points out something, which is another possible approach to this, which I considered, and I'm not completely ruling it out yet. Alejandro says, I imagine myself writing this on SXML. Nasty. Well, maybe. It is possible that you could write a file like this with SXML. There's really nothing stopping you from doing that because the format is not impenetrable. In fact, the format is pretty straightforward XML. So instead of mapping directly to the APIs, I could actually just shell out to the MLT command line tool instead. Now, let me show you what that command line tool actually is. Let's see, Geeks Shell Shotcut. No, sorry, MLT. Is it MLT? MLT, yes. MLT, melt. So let's see what that says. So melt is kind of funny because it actually is a command line video editor. You can use all of the command line parameters here to basically construct a video from the command line, and it gives you a way to automate some kind of repetitive video editing tasks, but you can't really make a full video edit with it because it would be too many parameters. However, it does give you the ability to construct a simple edit here on the command line and then export that to the Melt XML, or you can even open Melt XML and kind of do some processing on it. So it is possible to use this. Well, if I were to use SXML in Scheme to generate the Melt XML, I could use the Melt command line tool to render a video or preview a video that was created using SXML. So it is possible that that can be done. And that might be a fairly reasonable alternative, because in that case, you're shelling out to a sub-process and you're not tying up your Guile process with the interaction with the sort of running video timeline. I'm not sure which one's better though. Melt banana. So anyway, a lot of talking about MLT and Melt here, but the point is that it's a pretty flexible framework, and I think it's a good starting point for us to have something for editing video in Scheme. So what I wanted to do, what I set out to do with this stream is to try to replicate some of what I did in that video with the Scheme code that I've written so far, now that I understand how to use MLT a bit better. So the first step for that, and man, I'm really seeing the video choppy. Let me know if the video is choppy in the chat. I don't know why it's so bad. OBS is telling me it's somewhere around 16 frames per second, which is terrible. The Optimal says, I've been able to get GStreamer to work over GJOF. GJOF. That's the new way to pronounce that instead of GGolf. That's cool. I actually did experiment with GStreamer a bit before I went using Melt, and GStreamer actually does provide a fairly similar command line and XML based interface for doing video editing. However, I do feel that MLT is a bit easier to use. GStreamer is super flexible and very kind of like software architecture style. But I think that MLT and Shotcut are a bit more straightforward and hackable, in my opinion. The Optimal says, and as far as I know, PTV uses GStreamer. Yes, it does. Actually, there's something called, excuse me, the GStreamer editing service or services, not sure, which was built for PTV, which is a layer on top of GStreamer that provides some kind of model for non-linear video editing, sort of like MLT provides. So it is another way to do similar things, but I kind of like MLT better from what I'm seeing so far. Okay, so if we're gonna try to do the same thing, let's just start from the basics. In this case, the basics would be pulling in that image. Hey, Purple G. And we don't really need video or image as a source, I don't think, but we'll just start with that. I don't really care too much. Define image path lambda profile. I'll tell you what I'm doing with this little threading thing here in a little while too. So MLT factory producer profile. I mean, this is literally the same function. So maybe I need to have like a source instead, not video, but source instead. Source file. Let's change this video to source file, huh? All right, whoops. That was a little bit too greedy. There we go. Let's do that again. Yes, yes, no, yes, no. Right? Also, the system crafters show notes, shows system crafters, media system crafters, PNG. No, not there. PNG. All right, so 0201. Yeah, I don't want to open that actually, but whatever, that's fine. Okay. So notes, shows, system crafters. What is it? 2-01 system crafters 2-01.png. Let's get that filter off there too. I'll put this, oh no, I can just delete that because I've already checked all this in anyway. Okay, so that's an image. And in theory, if I were to run this, it should actually work. Now, I wonder if I should actually export this to the melt file instead, because, well, let's try it anyway. Okay, let me run Geyser with this. So Geyser, and let me check the load paths just in case. Oops. Oh, actually, one thing that's important. I need to make sure I have the profile loaded, so I'm gonna use buffer env update. I'm gonna pull in my manifest. I'll tell you the manifest in a second. Ozloy says, does Emacs not have a semantic aware variable rename for Guile? Not yet, but I think that the RE's RS stuff is gonna do it. Alejandro says, what is the AV filter dot something? That's actually the name of a filter. It's a good question. On the MLT website, if Chromium will wake up, if you go to documentation and then filters, then you've got all this list of filters you can use. And we're using the HFlip filter here, HFlip. So you can check out the HFlip docs, and basically tells you that it horizontally flips the video, and it tells you the parameters that are valid for it. The parameters are effectively properties in many cases. So yeah, it just gives you the listing of filters that you can use for your projects. AV filter in this case is filters that come from libav, which is the FFmpeg library, or the filters for the FFmpeg library. There's also the Freor, I don't know how to pronounce that. Freor, which are kind of cool. They're kind of, I think there's some really interesting stuff in here. In fact, I think that if you like kind of wacky video editing, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can use in these Freor plugins that might be interesting for some experimentation. Maybe not for me, but for someone else, let's say. All right, what was I doing? I was setting up Geyser so I can evaluate code live. So I also need to make sure that the Geyser build has the load paths set. But I also need the profile. I think I haven't gotten that set up right yet. So I might need to do like an add to load path. Let me think. There we go. Let's just rip it out of here, huh? Let's just rip it out of here. What I'm doing right now is I'm copying the profile path for the manifest that I just loaded with the buffer env library or package, let's say. I'm gonna go add that into. Oh, am I doing that right? No. Maybe it's set. Getenv? LD? No. Library path? No. Library path needs to be set. So set env LD library path lib. Let's see if that works. I need to do this to make sure the library gets loaded up correctly. Why is Fade making a frowny face? I have to make sure that the environment is set up correctly. This is geeks we're dealing with here, okay? I don't have this installed globally. So let me show you the manifest real quick. I've got all this GStreamer stuff in here that I'll take back out, but really the important parts are Guile and MLT. All right. So let me go to the core library. I'm just gonna load this up real quick. Because Control C, was it Control C, Control A? Yeah, I think that loaded. So I'm in this module now. And if I go back to, well, let's just go back to main. Control C, Control A. Control C, Control C, Control B. Yeah, I can't open the shared library. Why is it a string and not a symbol? Because I'm passing it down to the C interface. Using a string as an identifier. Where? Are you talking about right here? Yeah, it's passed down to the C API. And now, obviously, I have not written a full wrapper for this yet. My ultimate goal would be to have scheme functions that sort of hide away the details of calling the C layer. I would not make a scheme library like that. I'm not crazy. Okay, so I didn't find libmlt. I'm having to rewind the stack here and remember what I did the last time. Maybe I need to just set it like this. In your bindings, just load the library from the store absolute path. I don't really want to do that. I mean, I can see why you're saying it, but I don't really want to do that. All right, so what had I done? So get env. Let's just use set env also. LD library path. Did I not say set env? Yeah. Let me check that first. Yeah. And MLT is there. But it is obscured a little bit. Ah, there it is. Okay, right there. Cool. So if I were to run geyser again, will it inherit the environment? No. I'm trying to remember what I did. Maybe if I go back in history here, I'll see. Come on. Alt-P. Aha, okay, that's way back. Let's see. Try to think if there's some other way to accomplish this. This did not work before, obviously. All right, maybe I should just do that for now. Let's just do it so that it will all be easier to deal with. Core, let's go back up here. We're going to change this libmlt to be prefixed, and then reevaluate it, and then go back to main, reevaluate that. All right, no LASPA plugins are found. Unbound variable MLT consumer connect. Okay, so I think I did write that, MLT consumer connect. It's in consumer.scm. Well, should be there. Maybe I just need to restart the session now. So let me just kill the REPL. Restart the REPL. And this time, okay, it should do something, in theory. Ah, 0. Interesting. I believe it might have loaded that time. So if we try it again, it's possible it could work. It's also possible that, what? It crashed. Okay, so it crashed out apparently. Is that path valid? Yeah, valid path. All right, kill it. I probably could have done Control-C, Control-Z. So it crashed again. That's interesting. You know, I didn't have a problem with this the last time I tried it. However, I haven't tried it since the previous week. So timeline, maybe because I don't have multiple tracks. That'd be kind of ridiculous, though. Actually, didn't have multiple tracks before. Oops. I know this is kind of cheesy, but whatever. Still the same, crash. Okay, let me run it from the command line and see if it's any different. I imagine it will not be different. So eShell. Wrong eShell. So project eShell. There we go. Now, get env. I don't think I see the profile path in here. Buffer env update. Your foreign bindings are naked. Yes, it's naked for now. So Guile main.scm. Oh, I need to also set the Guile load path, right? To dot. Segmentation fault. Interesting. What if I go back to the video that I had before? Because I did have a funny little video of my face looking around because I was trying to figure out green screening, so I looked like a complete psychopath. Videos green test.mkv. Let's just try that out and see if it works. Playlist cannot create blank producer without profile. What the hell does that mean? Projects, sorry, videos, green test. Oh, okay, that's why. That file name. MP4. Okay, still segmentation fault, which tells me something else is going on. Now, I wonder if it's the, is the library getting loaded? Let's use the REPL and find out. So, yeah, all right, so use MLT factory. Okay, so it actually does create an object. It says feeling comforted by the presence of a REPL this week. Yeah, I am trying to use a REPL in this project, but you know, since it is an FFI project, sometimes it can lead to crashy goodness. All right, so it is possible to create a new object. This is something coming from the C interface. I'm wondering what else I'm using that is crashing this time. So let's take a look at the code. Timeline with a nested track. Let me double check the changes I'm making to the file as well. Benoit's talking about the LADSPA path. That's like a almost like VSTs, but I don't think it's needed. Sound like the C side isn't loading the plugins at once. That part doesn't matter. I haven't had a problem with that. I've seen that message a bunch of times. Oh. Okay, that seems to be the same. I don't see anything else different. What about the... Yeah, just change that part. That's no problem. So maybe I should create a track then. What does track do? I need to remember what my functions did. Oh, timeline, I see tracks, and then a track itself is what? Okay, it creates a playlist. For each producer, which is the list of producers. producer profile, MLT playlist append, MLT producer close, real producer. Yes, something in here is crashing, obviously. Let me just start by using a track by itself. What is track in this case? Is track an actual procedure? Yeah, track. So let's just step down to something a bit more simple. And I'm going to use what is it? MLT. Well, that's the thing is I can't actually use the stuff that's in here unless I comment this part out, which I guess I probably should do. Let me just comment this out. I'll use Control-C, Control-B. Now we've got all those functions available to us. I can say source file, home, David videos, green, test.mp4. I'm pretty sure this is not going to be a problem. Yep, looks fine. Now if I want to use track on that, track, that's also fine because, in fact, I think both of these are just creating lambdas that are being returned. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what I'm thinking here. Since the profile name, and profile in this case is the thing that gets created here. So I'm saying MLT profile init. The profile is kind of like the global configuration for the audio video setup for the project. In this case, I'm saying this is going to be a high def video, 720p, 30 frames per second project. I'm creating this profile object and I'm threading it through all of the things that are being created from that. Now, inside of this timeline procedure, I'm kind of obscuring the fact that I'm creating the profile. Yes. In preview, I'm obscuring the fact that I'm creating a profile and passing it through. Every other procedure that I call from timeline then on returns a lambda that takes a profile. So that means I have to it's almost like a monad in a way, where you have like functions that need to have some common state threaded through. And that's what we're doing here. We're passing in the profile to a lambda whenever it gets called. So it's kind of done on demand. If I want to do this, I'm going to have to define a profile. MLT profile init HDV 720 30p. And I need to close out the parens. Okay, so now I got a profile. If I were to, let's see, they got a factory consumer. Don't really need that quite yet. Purple G says monad with a grimacing face. Okay, I had to look at that closely because it's too small on my screen. So if I call track and invoke the lambda that it returns, I know I should not be typing that whole thing out again. Pass it to profile. Okay, so it did not crash. So whatever's going on in track did not cause it to crash. P in 30 instead of 720 is correct? Yes. Don't ask me why, that's the name of the profile. And I think even if you look at the docs, it might tell you the profiles. In fact, there's another way to find that out too. Profiles, there you go. It's got the names? No. I believe the melt command line does have it though. If I go to eShell, melt. Okay, I can get that here. Oh, no? Okay, whatever. eShell. And there is a query profiles. So now you can see that there is an HDV 30p, there's an HDV 60p, etc., etc. So Fikri says, Elden Ring stream when? I would do that if I knew people would want to watch it. I don't know that they would want to watch it on this channel, though. I would love to play Elden Ring some more, because I didn't get to play it very much. But yeah, I don't know if I have time for streaming games in general, though. So, the next thing would be to try... Borussia says, imagine that's a profile file? Probably. Purple G says, Sekiro is better than Elden Ring. Sekiro is hard, dude. Judy says playing Elden Ring but the controls are Emacs, that would be pretty brutal. But there's someone who did actually beat the game using a mind controller thing. A little bit too hardcore for me. I think someone's also beat it playing with their feet. I'm not going to even beat it playing with my hands, so what can I say? All right. Let's try running it through timeline also. If I do the same thing with timeline in the REPL, let's see if it crashes. If it doesn't, then I'm a little confused. Wrong. Let's see, we're gonna need to go back in the geyser. So let's do a timeline here. Okay, that's returning an object as well. And I think that timeline is returning one of these tractor things, which is kind of like a multi-track conglomeration or a composition, you could say. So is it just the fact that the consumer is crashing whenever it tries to run it? What if I try to send it out to a file, I wonder? Instead of doing preview, let's try rendering it to a file. That's kind of lame. So define render timeline. Excuse me. Output path. So I believe if I just create a consumer, that, let me look at the docs. Now the best docs for the MLT framework, it's not really obvious where it is. It's actually in the framework design section. I mean, there's obviously Doxygen docs, which are fine too, I guess. But sometimes what you want is the framework design section. So MLT factory consumer. Okay, it doesn't tell you here, but I'm pretty sure if you pass a file name in there. Let's look, files, factory consumer, const care service, void input. Now the service defaults to MLT consumer and optional input, typically a string. I think this is going to be the third parameter. Let's say we're going to put that to output path. Now I have that function available to me. And if I go up here and call render with test.mp4, let's see what it does. Probably will crash again. Oh, now why is it rendering it now? That's really strange. Well, there you go. There's my weird video of my face. And it doesn't, I can't close that window for some reason, which is really weird. I don't know why all of a sudden it decided to work. Especially when I told it to render. I'm very confused. Yes, I know, right? Okay, so what if I change it now to go back to having this source file that I had tried to use before? Because I did something wrong, clearly. And usually what this is going to do, or what this will do, is render the System Crackers logo kind of forever, which is kind of funny. Yeah, okay, finally it works. But it does get stuck. And I think it's because of the way that I'm running this stuff. Weird that it doesn't actually let me close those. Something I need to look into. But okay, we're making progress. Now, what if I kill the REPL? If I kill the REPL, it's going to kill those two windows that popped up, which is fine. But what if I restart the REPL? Is it going to start working again? Like magically? Nope. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if what I did, excuse me. Let's try this. Same thing. Yeah. Probably because it doesn't listen to window events on its own. I think it works if I launch it the right way. Oh, right. I think I do remember now what the thing is. I need to stop the consumer. But it's kind of hard to do that. I've tried like a little loop here to look to see if the consumer is stopped. Yeah, you'd think so, Alejandro, but for some reason it just doesn't listen to the events at that point, which is fine, I guess. Okay, so maybe the best way to do this is to write out the XML file. There is a consumer or the XML format, XML. So if I were to go here, so, all right, look, I know I keep saying so, I apologize. I really need to work on my, my presentation, speaking style. Let's change this to XML. We're gonna do the same thing up here. So the profile doesn't matter, really. I guess it does matter, actually, because we want it to be usable, the output file. Here, the profile is going to, sorry, the consumer is gonna be XML, and then it's gonna be output path. Judy's saying if you SIG it or something like that, the Wayland messages are processed on the client and responded to. Okay. That could be right. So let's try Control C, Control B on that. Raise exception, wrong number of arguments, procedure, XML, output path. Oh, yes, that's right. Okay, so video.mlt. Debugger exited. Video.mlt. Boom. Okay, so we got an output here. Now, if I do that, I could try to spawn. Guile, come on. Come on. Guile spawn. We're making great progress. Yes, not that Guile. Spawn a new child process executing program. Okay. Environment keyword parameter lists of environment variables of the child process. Defaults to environ. Okay. Cool. We're just going to see if this works. Spawn program. The program is going to be that lovely little path we have. Let me jump to core. Yes, hard coding paths is a terrible idea. I'm only doing it because I have to. Because otherwise, we're going to be fighting with geeks the whole time. We don't want to do that. Bin melt. And also, we need to give the arguments. Now, yeah, by convention, the first argument is typically program, which is always fun. We're just going to say melt there. List. Okay, so list melt video.mlt. I think there's a way to preview a file. In fact, we can just go to the shell and check it out, right? Let's just try the file name. I can't remember exactly what it is. Melt video. Come on now. Oh, there it is. Okay. And this one I can use Q to exit. That's the reason why I did that. It's because I want to have the ability to at least kill it correctly. All right, cool. So we have something rendering. It looks like crap. That's okay. That's not really the point. The point is that we have a file that we can use. Also, I believe it's easier to render that out to a file as well at the end. So that's a good starting point. So let's get back to it then. What I want to do is get back to having the background as well. If I go to main.stm, I want multiple tracks here, first and foremost. So this is the first track. And a track is an individual line of things being shown on the screen. So source file, home. Geez, where is it? Let's see, dot files. Yeah, Samuel Ferrara, I think, is the file. 11 megabytes is huge. Let's go to that folder. I'm gonna just grab this file name. Oh, actually, that's not the one I want. There's a different one that I created that has the stuff already baked in. So notes shows system crafters background. Is it logo background? There it is, logo background. Boom. David Will notes shows system crafters logo background.png. And if we were to where check parens. Huh. Okay. Unbound variable tracks. What did I do? Oh, that. Okay, cool. So I think it's upside down. I think I need to put the other track below. I tried executing it. What happened? I'm looking for the REPL. Okay. Okay, the REPL didn't crash. Why are we not doing anything? Borussia says, how do you specify the layer of a track? Yeah, it's basically the order being passed, but I haven't discovered yet what the right order is. What do we got going on here? Is it a bunch of melts running? Only the one. Kill it. What's the problem here? Doesn't want to respond. Interesting that it's having this problem after I switched the order of those tracks. All right, so let's try the actual command line version and see. Still the same. Let me make sure the output's right. Video.mlt. The top one is system crafters. Yeah, that's wrong, I think. So it didn't get saved out. Kind of weird. Professor Epple. No, I don't think that's actually what's going on here. So something else weird is happening. I mean, you could be right. You could be right, but let's double check this. Maybe we do need to kill the REPL. Okay. I don't know what happened. But if I go to the REPL, sorry, the shell. All right, so there's no blending. That is something I've seen before, which is pretty weird, to be honest. If we check the video MLT, okay, we got logo background, and then we got the 0201 on top. That does seem right. But they're separate. Huh. Playlist O, producer 1, playlist 1. Boy, I hope not, Alejandro, but yes, it is possible. I would think that video would be, sorry, that image would be, have proper alpha, which I think it does. In fact, if we go to the 2024 system crafters, go 201, Q image, color, oh, huh. Ah, right, okay, the affine transform. Seems like it shouldn't be necessary. There's an alpha on certain things. So playlist 2. So one thing that Shotcut does a little bit differently, which I didn't really look into, is something called chains. Which is kind of interesting because it seems that chains have an in and out time, which is useful for having clips that are not sort of adjacent to each other. They actually have a gap between them. Chain O. Playlist 2. Kind of weird. Filter. Okay, it's only in one play. Oh, the audio track. Okay, fine. I think I know why that's happening. Cool. Trev says, Shotcut is built using blockchain technology. Yeah, no, I don't think so. All right, so playlist, whatever, track. Yeah, so we got a tractor. I actually am using the same thing. I wonder if I need to have an in and out time on the tractor that I'm creating. Otherwise, there's no way for it to know when it's supposed to end. Audio channels. Oh, that's Shotcut properties. Fade sends Trev to the penalty box for unsportsmanlike conduct. Producer background. What's that? Huh. Is it doing its own black background? Image format, RGBA. That's kind of interesting. Oops. Yeah, for those who are scratching their heads wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to look at a file that was created by Shotcut to get maybe an idea for why my own file is not working the way I expect it to. And the problem is that the background is not being displayed through the transparent image here. Now, what if I were to try to scale this with a filter? Let's try that out. Let me go to what is it? Scale? Nah, that's not the right one. Let's go to the list of filters for MLT. Scale. Classic scale. Scale tilt. Rescale, resize. I don't know what that's for. No. Normalizer for the loader. Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Scale, image scaler, software scaler. All right. The way that it's being done here, not there. Okay, I'm using a filter called affine. Okay, that's the right one. Come on. There we go. Affine transform. Cool. Scale. I could swear there was a scale in this list. What? As Judy says, affine transform it is. Kind of strange. I thought there were more parameters to this one. Transition properties, property. Oh, right, transitions. I see. Okay. So transition. I need to look at transitions too. I forgot about transitions. And what it said for affine is it has transition properties. Not telling us anything about what it is, though. Background. Is background here? Background color. Okay, so it's basically an alpha of nothing. Uh-huh. I don't know why this browser is so slow. Oh, okay. There we go. Scale. Scale. Horizontal scale. No, there's a plain scale value. Oh, where does the upscale be? This is not very fun. Transition.rect. Okay. That's some keyframe properties that are not very nice to look at. Let me just step back for a second. The reason why I'm looking for this right now is because I'm trying to find a way to scale the image down so that we can at least see the background behind it to make sure everything's being rendered correctly, because right now it looks like the background is just covering up the entire screen. It could just be that I'm not doing things right. So maybe if I look back at main.scm and look at my multi-track support in timeline, am I actually adding everything to the tractor correctly? Multi-track connect. I'm looping over every track. Every real track after the track gets initialized. Multi-track connect with the track ID. I shouldn't be doing this. I should probably be using a range. Does Guile have a range function? It must. Guile range procedure. God, come on. Guile range procedure. You know, I know that some people are sweating watching me do this and thinking, why are you not looking at the info manual? Because I don't care. No, 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 no. I want the full manual. Is there a Surfy for this? Surfy scheme number range. Where's Dave when I need him? String libraries, that doesn't help. Yes, I'm sure I could write my own real quick, but you know what? Screw it. Let's just not try to fix that right now. All right. So back to what I was doing. Yes, I am a Dave. I am not the Dave I'm looking for at the moment. So we create a tractor field, which we're getting really too much into the farming metaphor here. Their choice of terms, not mine. We create a tractor, which is basically a track. We create a field for the tractor. Actually a multi-track, let's say. We are creating a multi-track for the tractor. Then we're creating all the track instances that I'm passing through. We're connecting the track to the multi-track. All this is coming from the framework docs, multi-track connect, okay? So set the properties in the transition. I don't need that. Oslo says my guess is range number. Yeah, that would be my guess too, but it's not there. And I've learned not to make assumptions whenever dealing with scheme. You can make some assumptions, but not too many. Add our tracks to the multi-track. Okay, so we got track 0, track 1. Plant the transition. Did I miss that step? Probably. Field plant. Yeah, I didn't do that. Oh, I don't want to transition. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. So we need loader for scaling. That's weird. Do I need to do that? Create the watermark track. Yeah, this is actually something showing you how to do is create a watermark in here. Where else is it doing that? And, oh, really? That's the only one? Okay, fine. Factory producer. Factory producer. Just for the sake of argument. Loader. But Pango doesn't make any sense. The MLT factory producer. Service and resource. Get out of here. What's the pop-up? Yeah, that example looks wrong to me, to be honest. Let's go to the consumers list. No, producers list. Pango. Let's try that actually. Pango path. I'm gonna go here and use image on both those. Go back to the shell. No, actually, let's do it this way. No. No geyser REPL. Really? Oh, that's the Geeks REPL. No wonder. Crash. Fantastic. Oh, okay. Well, that's my fault. Did that actually cause it to crash? Because that would be pretty lame. That might have been what caused the crash. Let's go back into the shell. I think it didn't run it for some reason. No. Which E shell was I in? No, not that one. Yeah, that one. Parse fatal. PC data invalid care value. What the hell did I do wrong? That's real interesting. Oh. Yeah, I really screwed that up. Is that because I changed it to use the Pango loader? All right, it's telling me the wrong things in that documentation. Gunn says MS didn't invent Scheme Sharp yet, did they? Scheme is far too unpopular for Microsoft to think that it's something they should try to grab. Not going well, is it? Judy says they attempted to re-implement Haskell OCaml. That was a fluke. I mean, F sharp. I'm kind of surprised that ever happened. F sharp's a good little language, but you know, it's not really being used. I don't think. It's definitely a cleaner OCaml though. I mean, it's clean. I like it. Okay. I think the solution here is to use the command line just to try it out and see what happens. That might be a better approach. So, melt track. I hate that. Okay. Step 1. Now, track. Whoa. Where did the dash go? Track. Notes shows system crafters. System crafters 201.png. All right. Interesting. It doesn't. All right. So it's not compositing those. So slow. Composite. Create a composite transition. I think that's what I need to do, actually. I must need a transition to make this visible. Transition ID. Okay, there's a mix service. Always active 1. Okay, maybe there's a mix parameter in there somewhere. So if I go back into eShell, mix. Add a mix between the last 2 cuts. Add a transition to the mix. Okay, mix length. Do I need to actually put a length on it? No. Melt it with sway. Transition, composite. That didn't work either. Consumer XML. Yeah, okay. Factory loader, aligned, progressive, composite. Okay, so we got playlist 0, playlist 1. Those are both the ones for entry producer, producer 0. Not exactly. So producer ID, producer 0. Where is producer 1? I had a logo background. Maybe I need a yeah, Trev, that may be what I have to do. All right, we're gonna have to try shortcut. Just to take a look. Well, it's not gonna ruin all the fun if it helps us solve this problem in the next 15 minutes. Help me. All right, so the way you do this is to, let's see, open file. Annoying. Notes, show, oh, come on. I don't like this dialogue. Oh, here we go, both these. So I'm gonna go add a track here. Track operations, add video track. What is it, A? There we go, yeah, we got it. And how long is this? Okay, 10 seconds, fine. Next, track operations, add video track. And move it down, track operations, move track down. There we go. Now I'm gonna go do the same thing. Open the file, and I'm gonna open the logo background. And then I'm gonna be in this track and press A. I don't know why it's extending it so far like that, but that's fine. Can you let me take the frickin' thing? There we go, finally. Okay, so that's overlaying correctly. Whatever it's doing is right. So let's go back and take a look at the file for that. Help me to MLT. So first of all, I see there is an initial producer with its ID being black, which is effectively the black background for the entire thing. Alejandro says, I want to thank the producers of this video, which are my media files. Yes, that's right. And we have producer 0 and producer 1. Those are the two images that I want to put in. XML was here. Playlist 1. That's not right. All right, so then the tractor 0 is background playlist 0, playlist 1. And there's a transition, which is always active. I don't know what that means. Oh, it's the mix service, always active. A track 0, B track 1. And there's a Cairo blend? But it's disabled. No? Transition 2. Track A and B. Wow, they're adding so much extra stuff in here. So this one's not disabled. Cairo blend. Now let me check on what that Cairo blend is. Is it like some Egyptian coffee? Set Cairo blend graphics mode. Well, it's not mode at the end. Change the blend mode using by the Cairo blend transition. Oh, okay, it's a transition. Fine. So they're calling things transitions, which aren't actually transitions per se. I see. User-defined blend mode and opacity. Transition 2 is mix. I'm wondering if mix is an audio thing. Audio. Mixes 2 audio tracks. All right. So the Cairo blend appears to be the one that's needed for this to work. Let me also do another thing real quick. I want to make this smaller. So I'm going to add a filter for scale. No. Transform. There we go. Set size, position, and rotate. Okay, so zoom. I'm going to put zoom to be 84%. I think that actually does something different, though. It doesn't do... Come on. It does like a rectangle instead, which I don't like too much because I have to set that myself. It's a filter on the producer to scale it down using rectangle and these other properties. That's fine. I mean, I guess it is what it is. You know, if I were to just to kind of replicate this whole thing. Trev, I see your joke there. Okay, so transition 1, 2. We just need the Freor Cairo blend, it seems. Well, how about we just do that? A track, B track, version, disable. Disable doesn't sound right, does it? In the, let's see, framework, disable. Yes, exactly, Dave. Annoying. Always active. Now we don't want that one. So is it purely the fact that we have a transition? Is that enough to make the thing work? I think if I were to throw this file through the command line program. Oh, what did I just do? Did I kill shotcut? Whatever. Skip right back to here. Videos. Help me. .mlt. Yeah, so that works, right? That's just using the regular melt command line tool. So the melt file that is being produced by Shotcut does the right thing. And I don't know if it's because of the underlying producer here that has an image format. Let's look at mine, video.mlt. If I go back to main, video.mlt. Anything else? Color space, is color space different? 709 appears to be similar enough. All right. So they have that. Length 1500, excuse me. That's cool. You can do linked in frames or in time codes, it looks like. EOF pause, same. Playlist, producer, tractor, transition. There's mix, Cairo blend. That's from Help Me. This one does not have a transition. What about this one that I'm making? Transition Freyr Cairo blend. That didn't do anything either. Let me write that one out to XML video2.mlt. Did I do something wrong? I feel like that was the right way to do that. File. Oh. Cairo blend version 0.9. 0.1. So back in video 2, do we have the right producer also in here for the black color? Oh, something is fully wrong. It's not pulling the second video. Sorry, the second image. Don't know how I got that wrong. Is it just because I have quotation marks? Maybe let's get the quotes out of there and put a slash instead to escape the space. All right, I think that fixed that part. Track, I think this is the right way to do this one. Let's take this off though. Okay, that worked. Is the Cairo blend thing the key? Yes. I see. All right, so you need Cairo blend to make sure that you can do the overlay. Well, that's the starting point, I guess, but that's only inside of the command line. We have to translate that to the code. So the trick would be that we need to put a transition on the tractor. Now the question is, how does this work? If I go back to the help me, we're doing a transition between track 1 and 2 and 0 and 1. So are we literally blending each track separately? Disable 1, disable 0. So it doesn't look like it. It looks like this first transition here is disabled. I don't even know why it's there. But this one is not disabled. This is the one that's between track 1 and 2, which are the higher 2 tracks. The track 0 is invisible. It's sort of there by default inside of the shortcut project, because you need to have some kind of like underlying track for whenever the higher level tracks are all alpha'd out, opacity of 0, basically. When you're doing this programmatically, they don't tell you that. You have to kind of figure it out yourself. But in this case, if I were to go back and look at the main.sem, let's at least just try to get this working, right? If you could only do transitions between 2 tracks, and how does that work? Thanks, Osloy. That's cool. All right. Well, let's just try it. Kind of feels a little bit hackish and hard codey. But maybe it's needed for every single set of 2 tracks in the tractor, because you need to have a way to mix them together. You're basically blending each layer of tracks. No, it doesn't do it like that. It's only blending the top one. Is there a way to test that? Yeah, I may have to think about that a little bit more another time. So the tractor needs to have a transition applied to it. Let me go look at the APIs for that. I believe we saw that. There is something about planting a transition in the field. MLT field plant transition. Field transition 01. So you're transitioning between the 2 tracks. You also set up a transition. The transition is, hey, stop. Okay, so let's go back here. Can I do that at the time where I set them up? Kind of difficult. Doing this in a programmatic way is a little bit challenging. Like, what I want is to have this look more or less like a document where I'm saying that my timeline contains 2 tracks, and here are the things that appear in those tracks, right? That's kind of the idea. And if I were to edit a video with this, and I have a source video that I'm trying to cut into smaller chunks, I would probably have some way to create a clip or a series of clips out of one source video file. And then apply effects to those, or sorry, filters to those, and transitions between them, etc. And it would just look like a document, effectively, instead of having to write procedural code to do the edit. So to do that, under the covers, I need to intelligently set up things like these transitions to do the blending between the 2 layers, or between the 2 tracks. So it looks like I need to set that up here somewhere, like maybe in the timeline when I'm applying the tracks together. Like every 2 tracks, video tracks, needs to have a transition between them. I don't know, Trev. Let me take a look at OBS and see what's going on here. Okay. I wonder if it depends on what you're using to watch it. The stream, I mean. Just trying to think if there's a better way to describe this stuff. Super Stay Up says YouTube is fine. Thank you. Yeah, so basically, when I'm setting up the timeline here, I need to keep track of maybe the top 2 tracks. I still don't know yet. It really depends on how it, like layering more things in. I guess we could try that real quick. What if I did this? What if I put another logo in? Let me run shortcut one more time. Nope, not that one. Shortcut, there we go. Let's open up my cry for help file somewhere. Videos, help me. All right, let's add another video track. Add video track. I'm gonna copy this and drop it into this track. And I'm also gonna change the position and scale, maybe even the rotation. How about that? Get a little bit loopy here. And why all of a sudden can I not click anymore? Did I upset the sanctity of the situation? It doesn't let me change the scale now that I fiddled with the... Okay, let's try that. I'm curious to see what the file looks like now. So if I go back to help me.mlt, I should have 3 tracks. And we have more transitions. So we have a transition between track 1 and 3, transition between 1 and 2, and a transition between 0 and 1. However, this one is disabled. This one is not disabled. This one is also not disabled. So we do have 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. What about 2 and 3? How does it know? Let me try this. What if I put this on top of the other one? Does it actually do some kind of rectangle comparison and then one, 3, 0, 3, okay, so 1, 2, 1, 3. What about 2, 3? There's still no 2, 3. That's really weird, man. It's really weird that it doesn't seem to care. About 2 and 3. Is it because of the alpha, perhaps? All right. So then let's try to come up with some logic for this. 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. Track number 1. 0, 1, 2, 3. So the background and both of the instances of the logo. Is it only because there's an alpha channel? I mean, it seems to work. Let's close out Shotcut and run that file manually. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're out of time. My aim is to spend more time on this and actually make it something useful. But as you can see, it certainly needs more work to fully digest the model that you need to use for describing a multi-track composition and make it show up correctly, at least in the most basic case. All the tools are there, but you have to know the magic of setting things up. And really the only way at this point that I know is to just make these test files in Shotcut and emulate what it's doing. And if it isn't straightforward, then it might require a little bit of hackiness to put things together. So I don't know, like how much I need to. How much I can actually abstract away the MLT model from the person writing the composition file and scheme. I'm not sure how possible it will be, but the goal would be to abstract it away completely. Peter says, these kinds of things always need a lot of simmering time back on the stove. Yeah, I agree. It really needs, you basically have to do it wrong 100 times to discover all of the edge cases and nooks and crannies of the problem space. And then you have enough context to then go back and rewrite everything and make it elegant. And I'm not even close to that yet. So it'll be something I can experiment with. But the good news is that I can learn plenty from just using Shotcut to edit videos and kind of examine the output of those to see how to do things myself, and gradually just try to come up with a little, toy projects, or maybe write scheme code to replicate things I'm doing in videos and do it that way. Probably the best approach. Peter says they overwhelm the brain, so you have to step away for a while and circle back. Yep, that is the way it works, but I don't know, I like that part of the process. You kind of like, squeeze your brain to try to make something work for a while, and then maybe you have to take a break for a little while, but then when you come back, new insights just magically appear from the subconscious, and you solve problems you didn't think you could solve. So the magic of knowledge work, I guess you could say. All right, so hopefully this was somewhat interesting, and maybe it gives you some inspiration to check out the MLT framework and the Melt command line command line tool and Shotcut for playing with video editing. You can even do audio editing with this too, to some degree. Like for instance, if you were trying to put together a podcast, there's all the stuff that you really need for editing together a podcast should be here too, in terms of audio filters. So like a compressor, if I can actually type. Yeah, there's a number of compressors in here, which kind of like is the most, that and maybe a noise gate are the most important things for a podcast edit. Maybe these LADSPA plugins are the things it was complaining about not finding. But anyway, point being, there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and maybe if you are the type of person who likes messing with audio and video, you might be interested in trying out MLT. And if you do, let me know what you find out, because I'm always trying to learn new stuff about it. But in the meantime, I'll be making some videos with Shotcut, and hopefully you'll see that next Wednesday whenever I release the next video, or the first video, let's say, in the new Org Mode productivity series. It'll be about coming up with a tagging strategy for effectively filtering the things that you need to do and creating agenda views to make it easier to know what you need to do at any given moment. So should be pretty cool. Super Stay Up says, could theoretically template short form stuff like shorts, etc. Yeah, that's basically what I intend to do, is to make it easier to edit both videos and also like offshoot material. Like you have a stream recording and maybe you want to like turn a subsection of the stream into like a YouTube short or something. If you have a script for this, some scheme code, make it very easy to put that together. So yeah, I got a lot of plans for this kind of tool. It just takes some time to put it together, but yeah, just kind of follow me on the socials and you should probably hear some more things about it. As I mentioned before, the code for this is on Codeberg already, codeberg.org/davidwheels/melted-scheme. I should probably commit some of the stuff I did here today. Did I do anything relevant aside from just make a mess? Yeah, not really too much. I might not commit this just yet, but the other stuff that I have there does more or less work if you follow what I did in the stream and stumble around until it does work. But yeah, we'll see what we make with this in the future. So I hope all of you have a great weekend. Keep an eye out for the video next Wednesday, and which I know I'm making a mistake saying next Wednesday, but I think maybe it's more likely this time to actually occur. So keep an eye out for that. And then next Friday, we'll have another stream as usual. Maybe it'll be a stream about Org Mode this time. We'll see. But like I said, have a great weekend. And until next time, happy hacking. See ya.